Alright, everybody. Thursday, I gotta get the exact time again, I forgot. But anyway, we all know about our friend Jeff Gillis, who was handed a 10-year suspension by AGCO, plus a fine for his involvement, well, not his involvement, for his dealings as a customer with Dr. Seth Fishman of Ecostology, purchasing BB3. We're starting to get hints as to what his defense is going to be this Thursday. He's asking for a review and basically looking to get his license back or have an appeal or whatever it is they're trying to do, what he's trying to do. Bottom line is, let there be no mistake, because word is getting around that his defense is, and I'm hearing that it wasn't him, someone else purchased it, trying to say like the other wiretaps that we've posted where it states that it's one person but it's not him, whomever, it's representative of the barn. He was unaware of this. I'm going to make this crystal clear for AGCO of Canada. First of all, even the United States Trotting Association has done the right thing on this one case so far, acting in reciprocity of honoring your suspension of Jeff Gillis. Rightfully so. It's the way it should happen, because the proof is there. You acted on the proof. But now there seems to be some disagreements and misunderstandings, so I'm going to give you all clarification, if you don't mind. First of all, I just got done sending all these documents to AGCO through both their customer service email and their media email. That's the one that really counts. And I'll be posting a screenshot of that to prove that they did in fact receive them. I don't want to hear any nonsense that they didn't. And I don't think they're like the USTA, honestly. That's a USTA move. AGCO did move quickly on this. I posted that wiretap video and audio on a Tuesday, and they acted by that same Friday. So while the USTA dragged its feet doing nothing, waiting for someone else to do the job of what they should have done. But anyway, first of all, I want to make it clear. According to, this is document 1299-20 filed on 6/26/24 by the United States government to be obtained by the public through PACER. These are, again, this is the transaction journal of Ecostology, dated the report of 12/31/22 for the period between January 1st, 2009 and August 13th, 2019. Now, here's how you clarify any mistake as to whether Jeff Gillis himself actually made these purchases and paid for BB3 through Ecostology and Dr. Seth Fishman. Need I remind you, Seth Fishman would only sell to approved and VIP customers as per his order sent to his salesperson, Lisa Gianelli, in multiple emails, which we have, which the government obtained. So there's no mistaking who he sold to, because you had to be approved by him, and he bills for it. So, dear friends, Board of Review, AGCO, I think it's in Ontario on Thursday, pay attention here. On 10/14/18, code 42816, invoice. Client name, Jeff Gillis. Account number, 2081. Same day. Visa payment, $2,750. Same day, 10/14/18. D Postal, another one of their codes. EQ Postal, $0. It was a freebie. Same day, 10/14/18. DBB3, also coded. Remember he was talking about, well, you don't want it to show up on your, he says in the wiretap. Yeah, well, when I got my bill, it says something about EPM meds, 3 equine wellness, and then Fishman goes, well, do you want me to bill it to you as BB3? I don't know if you can see it. I'll post this in See right there? I don't know if it comes through. I've posted these before anyway. But my point again is, the conversation on the wiretaps is actually confirmed right here. Gillis says, well, it doesn't say BB3, it says EQM, what is it? EPM meds. So he could bill it without getting caught, people asking, what is this, whatever, law enforcement, until Seth Fishman actually handed over the records himself. So now, if you cross-reference that with the Who Got report, this is just customers who purchased BB3. Am I right? Scroll down. And now this is done directly by Seth Fishman himself. On the bottom, Jeff Gillis. I have posted this also all over the internet. It says this Who Got report is for only BB3. Everyone here on this list purchased BB3. You saw Garrett Dowse, Dylan Davis, Nick DeVita. I don't know if I went over these names. There might be some unredacted stuff. Brian Malone, John Mangello, Eric Prevost, the Silverman Stables, and Leroy Slaba, Richard Malone. But let's concentrate on Mr. Gillis. What date is this invoice? His Visa card payment. Right? 10/14/18. Who Got report? Jeff Gillis. Account 2081. Barn Supplies. Doctor Office. I don't know what that means. Maybe. But quantity 10. Date 10/14/18. Equine for a 3-year-old. I don't know if he's given 10 bottles to one horse, but what do I know? Same date. Quantity DBB3. EPM meds 3. EPM meds 3, whatever that means. Equine wellness. Quantity 10. Code DBB3. Date 10/14/18. $2,750. Paid for with his Visa card. Can there be any mistake as to whether it was actually Jeff Gillis who ordered, in the phone call, took delivery of, and paid for 10 bottles of EP3 for that date? AGCO, I don't think you should have any issues this coming Thursday as to whether Mr. Gillis should be granted the privilege of competing in harness racing for the foreseeable future. We don't want him. He's your problem. And thank you for doing the right thing the first time. I hope you do the right thing the second time. Because USTA, because it can never do anything without being pushed and prodded and screamed at. Thankfully, AGCO has some integrity and transparency. You didn't hold back anything on this. Do not allow this person to compete in harness racing himself ever again. Well, for 10 years at least. And be aware that I'm sure, not unlike he was training for Mark Ford, who didn't know, he didn't know. He was disgusted, nauseated by the fact that this could possibly happen at his farm. That's a different story. But anyway, I'm sure they'll look for alternative measures as, ways to somehow still continue to compete. I've been getting off topic, but in PEI, bad things are happening. But anyway, now, should he try to use what I call the Howard Taylor defense? Back when all this was going down back in 2023, the people that were involved in this investigation had the foresight to take samples of said BB3 and send them to the one laboratory that's capable of testing what it is, how it is, have the ability to actually come up with a test for it, but confirming that what they called and coded EMP1 BB3 in their research. They confirmed that it's basically a generic form of erythropoietin EPO with all the benefits associated with EPO, and most of all the benefit of, at least here at the time and prior to all that, undetectable. Now, again, this has all been. I've never published the actual complete research article on this, but should there be any mistake, I never saw this before. EMP1. Do those look familiar, Jeff? Or any of the other friends in harness racing? Nick DeVita, I'm sure you had a couple of those caps in your barn, right? But again, I've posted this before, and I want everybody at AGCO to understand that this has been confirmed, because nobody over here would dare do anything like this. You know, it might take down the whole friggin' game. Because I think that's what everybody was more concerned about is, you know, coming clean about all this is really going to affect the game. Well, you know something, your game is dying as it is. Canada's doing a pretty good job of surviving without all the welfare, but in the United States, okay. I repeat, Figure 4, I've posted this before. Confirmation of erythropoietin mimetic peptide, 1 linear form, EMP1 linear, BB3. In white crystalline powder. You criminals all know what that is and how to make it work. You hear Richie Silverman talk about that with Seth Fishman, how to mix it up. And the characteristics, MS2, product ions of EMP1 linear. Mimetic peptide. Now, for those of you who don't understand what mimetic means, mimicking. Like I said, I guess put it this way. I think I used the comparison of when I was taking Plavix after my heart attacks, and I had stents installed, and to keep the red blood count funny, the blood platelets down. There's also a generic form of Plavix called clopidogrel. Does the same thing. Doesn't mean, oh, but their defense is it's not Plavix, but it is. The difference being here is undetectable. So not only are you illegally trying to improve the performance of your horses and take advantage of everybody else and endanger the animals with this garbage that thickens their blood to frickin' motor oil, and they're having exploding cardiologic events, aortas blowing out, whatever, like we saw last year that I called was going to happen. The gentleman out there knows about that meeting I had in New Jersey, that a week later it actually happened. But and I also want to make sure that you all understand that the federal government, in document 836, filed on 5/9/22 on page 75, trial transcript. Ms. Jung, can you display exhibit 113AT and play government exhibit 113A, which you all know as I think it's GX113A. That's the first segment of the Jeff Gillis, Seth Fishman conversation. That's coming under question. That, are we sure that might be him? Okay. It's entered into evidence by the federal government, confirming it is actually Seth Fishman speaking to Jeffrey Gillis on his phone number. And if you go back, who got report? Same date, 10 bottles of BB3, you go back to invoices, paid in full. His Visa card, same date, 10 bottles, same shit. So, I cannot emphasize any harder that it was in fact Jeff Gillis who purchased, we'll just use those, 10 bottles of BB3 from Dr. Seth Fishman of Equistology to use on his horses. That's that. I don't think your review in AGCO, at AGCO, while you're aboard, should last more than 10 minutes, where you can reconfirm your first assessment of this gentleman, and in no way should this man be allowed to compete again for the foreseeable future. That's it. If it does, if he somehow is able to obtain any type of a license right now under appeal, anything, what can we say? There's no hope. None. Zero. I've wasted all my time trying to get this out to people. The federal government here, other than the ones that went away, have wasted their time, their assets, the money. People behind it who've helped, Mr. Growl in New Jersey. A lot of what happened here could only happen with him. There were certain things that the government was not going to pay for, that he reached in his pocket and got it done. Say what you want, he did it. And in the end, horses die, good people are forced out of the industry. The powerful ones who control the game are taking and getting away with basically larceny. Not to mention that you have people in control of hundreds of millions of dollars of state allocated funds through casinos, racinos, tax benefits, all the above. And nobody has the nerve or the balls or the guts or the spine to stand up and say, enough. Well, I believe I found out that there's a lot of people who have finally said enough. It's up to the governing bodies and the state commissions to end it. Don't know what else to say. Please, just do your jobs. I'm out.